Hey guys, Dr. Aaron Ernst here. Thank you so much for joining me tonight for the Q&A with Dr. A. We have an amazing evening planned for you guys, including some reviews of protein bars, all the way down to some very, very specific questions. So strap yourself in. We're going to start and come at you with some great information. Don't forget, each week you get to be the script writer for our Q&A with Dr. A. Scroll down below this video. There's a button to click where you can submit your questions. And what do you know? You'll get your answers on each week as we do this. Every Thursday at 7 p.m. they host live. You can also go back to any of our previous Q&A episodes. You'll find the questions on our website, and you can even watch the videos to answer each question. And as always, we're here every Saturday on WBT at 3 o'clock. It's 11:10 a.m. here in Charlotte. You can also check out our iTunes podcast, The Ask Dr. Ernst Show, through iTunes. And of course, it goes back at least 6 months or a year with various topics from thyroid to weight loss to diabetes to digestion issues. Our goal is to help you to activate your hidden health so you can become your own doctor. So let's go with our questions. First question says, how do I know if a protein bar is good for me or not? And this is an interesting topic because I'd like to say, is it really a protein bar or is it actually a candy bar? And so there are certain guidelines that we can go through to determine if that's the case, and I have them listed here for you. And of course, the first guideline we want to find out is what's the ingredients? How much protein is in the bar? Is there more sugar than fat? Is there enough fat in the bar? How many ingredients are there? This sort. So here's your secret answer to this list. And at the same token, I want to sort of pick some of the most common bars that are available on the market today. So this is a Cliff Bar. And of course, it's very popular. Lots of people buy Cliff Bars. So I just picked up their chocolate coconut chip bar. And let's go down our list and find out, does it hit the qualities? How much protein is inside of this? Okay, it says 10 grams for the bar. So it's a moderately low protein bar. We're also going to find out that it has 43 grams of carbohydrates, which is an exorbitant amount of sugar. So if I look at the net carbs, that's taking the fibers out, there are 5 grams of fibers. So this thing still is, almost 30 something plus grams of sugar. So is the protein higher in this bar than the sugar? Absolutely not. How much fat is in this bar? There are 6 grams of total fat. So there's less fat than protein and even less fat than the carbohydrates. So this, in my opinion, is a flat out candy bar. Plus, you won't be able to see this, but there's probably at least 14 different ingredients, including soy and soy lecithin, and it has brown rice syrup as the main ingredient. So is this a protein bar? No, it's a candy bar. Toss it. How about this one? This thing was almost $4. It's called a Pro Bar. Now it does say 20 grams of protein, coffee crunch, gluten-free, chia flax. Sounds really, really good. We read the back and we find out 33 grams of total carbohydrates, 4 grams of fiber, so you're pushing over 25 grams of total carbs. So is the sugar higher than the protein? Yes. How much fat is in this? 9 grams. What is this? Another glorified candy bar. Now, we're getting a little lower on ingredients, but there's still at least 12. And again, it has soy and then various other things that we don't want. And they're using soy protein isolate. So as you'll see here, one of the number one things we need is for it to be a really high quality whey protein. Why not soy? Typically genetically modified, but also somewhat dangerous. This one is GMO verified, so at least the soy protein isn't genetically modified, but soy is not the best protein out there. So while there was only one of these left, apparently a very high popular bar, glorified candy bar. How about this one? It's called the Pure Bliss Organics Acai Coconut Organic Energy Bar. Gluten-free, GMO-free, vegan. Wow. $3.99. Kind of expensive, in my opinion, for a protein bar. How does it stack up? Well, it has 29 grams of carbohydrates, 4 grams of fiber, so you're pushing over 25 grams of total carbs, and the protein is only 5 grams. Again, this is a glorified sugar bar. The amount of fat inside of here, 12 grams, so the fat is starting to climb, but we still have more sugar than protein than fat. And the protein source inside of this thing is coming from cashews, so I kind of like that because nuts do have protein, but again, really not the best protein bar out there. Next one is the Think Thin High Protein Bar. Notice 20 grams, so we're in the right amount for protein. Says no sugar, so that ought to be interesting. Says low GI, so not a high glycemic index. Gluten-free. So I like it. It looks good on the outside. We come back on the back and we see total carbohydrates is 25 grams. You might say, well, wait a second. I thought they said sugar-free. Well, it's because they're not using sugar, they're using sugar alcohols. And also some of the ingredients in here that won't be labeled as sugar will turn into sugar when you eat them. So what we see here is that it has a protein blend of whey protein isolates and soy protein. And if you remember from one of our previous shows, we talked about how isolates are very, very dangerous because they cause an acidity reaction in the human body. So it needs to be a whey protein concentrate, no soy, which this has. It also has things like mannitol, which is a sugar alcohol, and cocoa soy crisps with canola oil. Ugh, didn't quite hit the mark. Now we have a bar that I use in my office because we designed this bar. It is the Essentials bar, so it is the only higher fat than moderate protein and low carbohydrate bar. Total grams of carbohydrates, 13, yet 6 grams of fiber, so do the math on it. And we're looking at about 7 to 8 grams of total carbohydrates. The amount of fat inside of it, though, is 13 grams, so it's a higher fat, moderate carbohydrate, 6 grams of protein, moderate, like low protein. So it's not going to be your classic protein bar, but this is a really good essential bar, meaning it will hold you over and help you to stay full because there's a lot of great fats in here. Plus it uses the whey protein concentrate, and also it has almonds and other things inside of it. Certified gluten-free, vegan, dairy-free, soy-free, corn-free. If I'm going to use a bar to help me get through my day, this is the one I would pick. And so we'll leave it up here. But something fun that I found that I think you guys will love, it's called the Epic Bar. And maybe the reason they call it Epic is no one has done this to date except for this company. It is a 100% grass-fed, dehydrated beef jerky bar, which means it's high in protein and high in fat. 13 grams of protein, so not truly a protein bar, but only 9 grams of sugar, and it has exactly 11 grams of fat. So it's a higher protein, moderate fat, low to no carb bar. This one says it's made with 100% grass-fed beef with habanero cherry flavoring. It was about $3. Fantastic. Great way of getting some food on the go and not having it be a candy bar like all the rest of those were. So we would love to see you guys eating some more Epic bars and using the Essential Bar. This thing, by the way, is only about $2 and some change, but because it has so much fat, it'll help you to stay full. What an amazing question. Next question says, okay, so I contacted Daiya Foods, and they use non-GMO canola oil in their dairy-free cheese. And so is it safe? I'm confused. Whole Foods uses a lot of canola oils. Is non-GMO canola oil safe? Well, here's the thing. Just because it's non-GMO and just because it's canola oil doesn't mean all of a sudden now it's healthy. Why do so many companies use canola oil? Because they think it's healthy, because they're looking at it has low saturated fats, which again, if you're going off standard American cardiovascular health recommendations, we think saturated fat causes heart disease. It does not. So just because it's a low saturated fat oil doesn't make it instantly healthy. Second, because most canola oil is genetically modified in the US, that's why I'm so opposed to it. But if it is truly non-GMO and it's expeller pressed and it's everything that they say, is it better for you than, say, for example, GMO standard canola oil? Yes, but it's like comparing these protein bars, okay? Is one of them better than the other? Of course, but does that mean that the one below it should be avoided forever? Not necessarily. There's always going to be something better than this. The challenge today is that almost all health food company still thinks that canola oil is so good for you. It does have high omega-3s, and we know omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. It does come from a plant source, and we know plant oils can be good. But remember, canola oil comes from the rapeseed flower. And so those flowers are not naturally oily. So they have to take the seed and press it and sometimes use chemicals. Now, the nice thing about Daiya is they actually say that they do it with a process of cold pressed, expeller press, which means they're spinning it around very, very fast to have the oils be thrown out of the seed, and then they collect the oil. It's great that they do that, but in the process of making the cheese, they probably have to heat it up. And as soon as you take a plant-based expeller pressed extracted oil, which will look fantastic by itself, and you heat it, you run the risk of hydrogenating that oil. When it becomes hydrogenated, it can become a trans fat, and it stays permanently in the hydrogenated position, which means it can stay permanently inside of you. Hydrogenated oils are very dangerous. So it might be non-GMO, non-hydrogenated in its initial state of being an oil, but as soon as they cook it and heat with it, it's done. I am not a big fan of canola for that specific reason. But it's hard, isn't it? Because as you mentioned, even Whole Foods is putting canola oil in everything because they think it's a healthy oil. Personally, I'd rather see them use avocado or even like say hemp or better yet coconut. But guys, it's very expensive. Canola oil is very inexpensive, it's very cheap. So it's been labeled as a healthy oil when in fact it is quite dangerous. So is non-GMO canola oil better than GMO? Of course. But is avocado oil better than non-GMO canola oil? Absolutely. Is coconut oil better than it? Absolutely. Is Daiya going to make their vegan cheese using canola oil and non-GMO? Of course, because that's what they're doing. Will they use coconut? Probably not, because it's too expensive, and also the cheese will be a little bit more oily than what this is. Are they going to use hemp oil or avocado oil? Definitely not, because they're very expensive. Next question says, when do we know if a blood test needs to be done to find a person's cause? And what's the best test to check for EBV, which is Epstein-Barr virus? So my guess would be, if you're asking this question, you want to know more about Epstein-Barr virus and how do you test for it. Yes, it's a virus. Yes, it's in your blood. Yes, the only way to test for it is to get a blood test. So here's the thing. Is a blood test the best way to determine if you have Epstein-Barr virus? Yes, in fact, it's one of the only ways. You can't walk around going, I wonder if I have Epstein-Barr. I think I might. Now, if you've been diagnosed with mono in the past, mononucleosis, more than likely you have Epstein-Barr virus. Most of us have Epstein-Barr virus, and it's just like most of us have the herpes viruses and cytomegalovirus, and we have other viruses that live inside of us all the time. So is it best to use blood? Yes. When is it necessary to determine if a person needs a blood test or not? In my general rule, it's when you're doing something and you're not getting a desired result. So for example, if I think someone has leaky gut and I push them through a leaky gut panel or a protocol and we tell them to do X, Y, and Z and they're not responding the way I would expect, then it's a good idea to test. If you've been trying everything under the planet and you're not getting a great result, it's a good idea to test. The challenge with testing is it becomes very difficult. Well, what do we test? What do we look for? So functional tests are great. If you're going to do a blood test, make sure you're looking for the right things. A lot of times blood test is like just taking a snapshot in the moment because you just drew your blood just at that specific time. So to relate your whole life off of a blood test is a very poor thing to do. Instead, what we want to do is use the diagnostic criteria. Take history, do a full exam, run some blood testing, figure out what things are going on, and then retest to confirm things are changing. So I'm a big fan of testing instead of guessing. So hopefully that helps you to understand. It's a good idea to get a blood test done if you're not getting any results with the traditional therapies that you've done, or of course if your doctor thinks it's a great idea to get your blood tested. We do a lot of testing here, but I'm not always a big fan of just going and getting tests done just to get them done, because sometimes they can become quite expensive. Next question says, my mom has been drinking Ensure for quite some time, and I think, of course, we know that this is dangerous, and you even said you know this is dangerous, but what do we recommend instead? So I just want to read something to you real quick. Ensure contains non-fat milk, cellulose gel, potassium citrate, salt, calcium phosphate, calcium carbonate, natural flavors, choline chloride, ascorbic acid, cellulose gum, monoglyceride, soy lecithin, carrageen, potassium chloride, potassium hydroxide, zinc sulfate, alkyltopherols, etc. Okay? It sounds decent, but at the same token, the cellulose gel is sugar. The choline chloride is kind of dangerous. Natural and artificial flavors are very, very dangerous. We want to stay as far away from those as we can. Soy lecithin is a soy-based stabilizer, and to date, when I did some studying on this, it has no fat, it has no fiber, and it has 37 grams of total carbohydrates per serving. So it is pure liquid sugar. Is that an ensuring we're giving you all the nutrition you need drink? By definition, no. I don't know how they're legally allowed to say that this stuff is what you should drink when you're a senior, because it has no fat, it has no fiber, it has nothing. Now, does it have vitamins and minerals and nutrients in it? Yeah, but they're all synthetic. They've all been added after the fact. Plus, it's milk-based. It's definitely not GMO. It's definitely not organic. GMO-free. It's definitely not organic. So we got to really wonder about, my God, yes, there's always something better than this. Now, if we're going to make a better, healthier, safer version of Ensure, I'd like to say, let's teach you how to make a really high-quality nutrient protein shake. So for me, I would use coconut milk because it's really high in monounsaturated fatty acids. It's also high in caprylolic acid. It's also high in medium chain triglycerides, and it's also a non-dairy source. Now, I would put protein in it because we know we need protein. I would put fibers in it. So I would blend other things into it. For me, a really good Ensure drink would be, by me making it, half a can of coconut milk, a scoop of a whey protein powder concentrate. You can use grass-fed, of course, to keep it clean. Because usually it's for the elderly, I would put a scoop of collagen powder in there for their joints. I would also add a greens powder because we want the nutrients, we want the fibers, we want the alkalinizing agents, and then I would use berries to flavor it. So either strawberry, blueberry, blackberry, blend it around into a liquid drink, and there is your own handmade Ensure that will guarantee that you're getting the nutrition that you need versus this glorified, I'll call it toxin drink filled with sugar and other things. So hopefully that helps to answer the question. I think there was a little bit deeper question inside of this, which is also blood tests are off, my mom's sugar count is high, lots of things are going on. Is it possible? She's been drinking this stuff for years. Yeah, if you're drinking candy for years, you're going to have a problem with your health down the line. All that carbohydrates creates nothing but inflammation and acidity in the body. So do everything you can to get her off those as fast as you can. Next question says, I wake up in the morning and I have a lot of pain in my feet and it clears out after a period of time. What's going on? Well, you know what? That is a classic sign of arthritis. So here's what happens. When we sleep, we get out of gravity. So a lot of times our joints decompress. More fluids flow in to fill the vacuum space. So you are more hydrated in the morning than you are at any point throughout the day. Your spinal discs will enlarge, your joints separate apart. So arthritis is inflammation of the joint. So if you wake up in the morning and your joints are really swollen and you have lots of fluids in them and you're acidic or you're toxic or you have an inflammatory process, you're going to put yourself into gravity and you're going to feel the pressure and you're going to feel the toxins as they're inside there irritating the joint. Now you said as you start walking it gets better. So that's the sign that you are pumping those toxins out of the joint, and it's a classic sort of like self-test to determine if it's an inflammatory based arthritis. So in your case, the answer is probably yes. As you walk, you push the toxins out, gravity squeezes the joints together, the extra liquids leave, and it will feel better. So could you do the traditional Tylenol, aspirin, Advil, Bayer, Motrin, etc.? Yes, but the problem with that is you're just covering up the fact that it hurts. Instead, we should probably look at this and say, okay, arthritis is inflammation of a joint. So if we can de-inflame the joint, then the arthritis would technically go away. Now, does arthritis clear out? Of course it does, if you find the cause. Most causes of arthritis are toxicity, so cellular fluids, acids, toxins, pesticides, herbicides, stuff that we all have in our body that gets into our cellular fluids. Inflammation, which comes from a diet that's high in sugar and bad fats and things to that effect. And also your pH being out of balance. So again, remember, our body likes to be slightly alkaline. And arthritis typically has a lot of acids in the joints. You can get uric acid crystals and other crystals in there. So they get to be very acidic. So you can boost your alkalinity by eating lots and lots of high alkaline foods. You can change your fats. You can start to eat more healthy fats, coconut, avocado, hemp, chia, and start to push those omega-3 fats into you, which are anti-inflammatory. Instead of using aspirins and Advils and Motrins, you can use turmeric or capsaicin. You can use other natural anti-inflammatories. And then, of course, we can boost your body's pH. And you can start to see this change with time. So it's a kind of a positive test you have arthritis, but that doesn't mean it's a death sentence. And by the way, arthritis is not a disease related to old age. It's a disease related to those things developing. You could be 9 years old and have that, or you could be 69 years old and have that. So hopefully that helps to set you free. Next question says, I'm a school teacher and I have to pack my own lunch. I don't get the ability to do much. What's a great on-the-go lunch that I can take and keep cold and have it be healthy? All right, ready? Here we go. When I'm in a bind and I need to take something with me, I usually grab an avocado, a plastic knife or a knife, and a block of cheese. And the reason for that is fat, moderate protein, absolutely no carbohydrates at all. If you were to cut the avocado in half, you can take a knife and score it and actually eat it right out of the shell. You're getting mostly high, great, good, healthy fats. Cheese has protein in it, so of course it's going to give us some protein, but it also has fat. So we're ensuring that we have a very high amount of fat and just a moderate amount of protein. So if it's a raw cheese, then I usually eat half that block or the whole block with the avocado. And I promise you, as crazy as this sounds, I even have a hard time eating all of that because it's so fatty that it's so filling and it will keep you going for hours on end. Plus, most raw cheeses can handle not necessarily being refrigerated. If you keep it refrigerated overnight, have it pre-prepared, put it in some sort of a bag. Nowadays, they even have these like freezing, frozen, lunch bags. My daughter's 5, so I know a lot about how to pack a great lunch and keep it healthy and clean. So that's it's like a lunch bag, but you freeze it, and it's got the little liquid inside of it, and so it keeps the entire bag cold. Throw an avocado in it, throw the block of cheese in there, off you go. How amazing is that? Other things that can be helpful, of course, are nuts. But the big issue with nuts is they tend to have a protein that can be easily converted into sugar. So if you eat a lot of almonds or walnuts or pecans or pistachios, watch out because your sugar can climb. Go for the fattier nuts, Brazil, macadamia. And again, what's a really good, great way of packing certain foods that are high in fat, moderate protein, low carbohydrates? The Essentials bar and an Epic bar. Don't do those other ones. Straight candy. Next question says, what kind of cooking pans do you recommend? I'd like to replace my house and get some healthy ones. Okay, here you go. I have exclusively 3 types. Stainless steel, so that would be for like my pots, my pans and things to that effect. Even some of the frying pans, but you have to use coconut oil or butter to sort of season them and make them non-stick. Cast iron, like honestly in my opinion, everybody needs a really good quality cast iron pan, but watch out. Don't season it with bacon grease. Don't season it with canola oil. You need to season it with coconut oil. You can find more information about how to season a pan on our website, AskDrErnst.com. Very simple to do. And lastly, I have something called a green pan. What a green pan is, it's kind of like a ceramic style sauteing pan so that it has a somewhat natural nonstick effect, but it doesn't have all the toxins and the chemicals that come from most nonstick pans. So if I am going to fry something quickly, I usually grab a green pan, I put butter or coconut oil in there, crack an egg, saute some vegetables. If I'm gonna do some more deeper sort of like, stocks or broths or stews, I use solid stainless steel pans. And if I'm going to do something amazing, I love my cast iron pan. So like if I'm making my almond breads or, my naan breads and things like that that are non-GMO, non-wheat, I call them naan breads. Not the naan like you get Indian food, but the naan, N-O-N breads. Then I use usually cast iron. Okay, so last question of the evening says, I recently heard a scandal about a chiropractor in Australia who made a video of himself adjusting a baby with colic. It looked disturbing to me. What do you think about this? So we actually have the video. And so we're going to play it for you in just a moment so you can watch it, and then I'd love to see your reaction with this. So Tom, can you do this for me? Cue that video up and hit play right now.
I'm going to take that contact there like that. I have to, unfortunately, just extend her a little bit to get it in the right place. That's why we be quick. Hey, darling. Hey. 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 You'll stop.
Okay, so what'd you think? Now, those of you who go to see chiropractors will probably look at that and go, how beautiful is that? How amazing. This child just got adjusted. It's healthy, it's healing, it's happy, it's everything. But I bet you some of you went, wait a second, the crying and the cracking looks very dangerous. But I guarantee you it's because you've been pre-programmed to think that way. I'll put it to you like this. an infant can only talk to us in one way. It can cry or it can laugh. And then when you think about it, most of how they speak is through crying. So most newborn infants, now remember that was a premature baby, like relatively new, fresh out of mom, boom, getting an adjustment. Some of you freak out about that just in and of itself. Partly that freak out moment comes because we're programmed to think that babies are frail, fragile, and they must require special attention. And you have to kind of leave everything, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. To me, if I watched a video of a child being vaccinated, I would be vomiting in my mouth because that is more dangerous than the adjustment. Pushing chemicals, toxins, and drugs into a child should have created the viral video, not a chiropractor adjusting a baby. But I understand where it comes from. Many people think that the click is something breaking, snapping, cracking. It's not. It's the spine releasing pressure, allowing for the joints and the vertebra to leave natural motion so flow of the nerve can go to the tissues. Why would an infant getting adjusted in the middle part of their back help with colic and not sleeping very well? Well, that center of the spine controls the gastric systems. So we have the liver, we have the stomach, we have the intestines, and of course what colic is and this inability to sleep is because of an irritation to the system on the gastric side. So medically they would say, well, give it certain foods, give it a medication, help it to pass gas, which is just treating symptoms. What that chiropractor did is he went to the source. He went to the area in the body where there was an interference. Yes, an adjustment needs to move a bone. Yes, you're going to hear it even in a premature baby. But I challenge you this. If you thought that was horrific and if you thought there was something wrong with that, you've been pre-programmed to think that way. Because I'm here to tell you today, my daughter's been adjusted since she was 5 years old. I've done that same adjustment on thousands of children, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. Why did it create such a scare? Because natural therapies in any method always create a scare with people. It's going against the standard. It's challenging the way you think about things. To me, if you think that there was a problem with that, I can't change that. That's how you believe. But I promise you, that video to me was amazing. Children cry when they're that young because that's the only way they know how to speak. So imagine if an adult got an adjustment and they went, oh my God, that was amazing. I feel incredible. There'd be no scandal about that video. But if an adult got an adjustment and went, oh my God, what just happened? There may be some scandal and viral natures to that video. Because that newborn infant can only cry, we have no idea what it's saying. But seeing it myself and being a chiropractor for more than 10 years, I can guarantee you that cry was of laughter, joy, excitement, and elation, and probably a little bit of what just happened. Because again, a newborn child can do nothing but either cry or laugh or giggle. And most of the time after an adjustment, it's an intense amount of movement. It's a moment of what just happened. But I promise you, if you followed up with that mom, she would have said to you, my daughter slept very well, everything happened perfectly. And that chiropractor, believe it or not, is quite famous for creating these reactions. If you watch his YouTube channel, you'll see he has amazing testimonials available. And do we do that same type of care here? Absolutely we do, because my belief is that the spine is the key to your health. It's like the master system. If a nerve is interfered with, it's no different than if your fuse box is interfered with. When a fuse is thrown, no electricity goes to that appliance. When the spine is thrown, no power goes to the organ. Guys, I hope you found tonight to be informative. Don't forget, we're here every Thursday at 7 o'clock for Q&A with Dr. A. You can submit your questions using the information below. If you'd like more information or perhaps a consultation or you just want to talk to me about your health, use the button below to do that. And I look forward to seeing you each and every week here, 7 p.m. And don't forget, every Saturday at 3 o'clock is the Ask Dr. Ernst show on 11:10 a.m. WBT here in Charlotte. You can also grab our iTunes podcast. Various health topics, you can even search for different ones, is available through iTunes. Just go to iTunes and type in Ask Dr. Ernst and it'll be right there for you. Thanks so much for tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next week. All right, bye-bye.